What's going on, God Squad? Welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year. So we're starting off this year with a little bit of an educational video. I get the question a lot. How do I deal with my defensive snakes? So I figured I'd actually talk to you guys about what I do and actually pull out one of my defensive snakes and show you guys just how far she's come so far, but she's still a work in progress. But if this video is something you've been looking for, stay tuned.
The Snake God.
All right, everybody, so welcome back to the video. Like I said, I would pull out one of my more defensive snakes. So if you guys aren't familiar, this is J-Lo. J-Lo is my yellow anaconda. And as you can see, she's gotten quite big. She's been doing a little bit better with the biting, but not up 100% trustworthy just yet. But I wanted to give you guys an update on her because, like I said, I've been working with her and I'm gonna go through some of the things that I've done so far to kind of help her get to this level where I do feel a lot more comfortable with taking her out, although she's trying to get up to my neck. And here's a little bit better look at how big she actually is. So the one thing that I do know with her is to keep my hands away from her face at all times. So that's rule number one. You gotta learn your snake. So when it comes to trying to figure out, let's see if she'll bite. I hope not. When it comes to trying to figure out, okay, all right. When it comes to trying to figure out how to get your snake used to you, you have to figure out what those triggers are. So some snakes don't like to be touched on the head. Some snakes don't like to be, grabbed on their tail. Whatever the case may be, I'm gonna put her down because she's distracting me. All right, sorry about that. I wanted to keep her out for the full video, but she likes to try to climb up around my neck, and I don't want to take a face bite today. So, like I was saying, one of the first things that you have to do is learn your snake's behavior. And what I mean by that is, you have to bond with the snake. You have to look at the snake. You got to handle the snake. And every snake, just like most other animals, just like people, we have things that trigger us to act in a defensive manner. As soon as you figure out what those are for your snake, it makes them a lot easier to handle. So again, with J-Lo, I know that she is not the snake. No matter how good of a mood she's in, she's not the snake that I need to touch on the head. Whether that be with my finger, the snake hook, anytime I do that, I get a negative reaction. So if you know those triggers, you have to stay away from those triggers. That way you don't bring out that defensive reaction out of the snake. Number two, which is something I urge everybody to do, which most people do, but there are a few people that I've run into who don't know about this, especially if they're keeping larger snakes. Use a snake hook. When you are dealing with larger snakes, and by larger, me personally, snakes that are 6 foot bigger, I hook train. Even some of my rat snake, he's only like 3.5, maybe 4 foot. I hook train him as well because he's been defensive since I got him. I've had him 5 years now. He's still defensive, but only defensive when I'm getting him out. However, with the larger species, so you guys know that I keep berms and retics and stuff like that, hook training is very, very important because what that does is it gets them to understand that they're not being fed. I feed inside the enclosure. So retics, we know, have a very strong feeding reaction, and so do some of my berms my female berm does a pretty strong feeding reaction. So what I do, I go in there, I'll take the hook and I'll just gently tap them on the head. And once they realize that it's not tongs coming to the enclosure, they'll do like a slight jolt back and they'll understand that it's not feeding time. Then you can take their hook, go in about midway down to their body and hook them up. Do not pick them up with the hook. You can hurt them. You lift them up and then you slip your hand in there and then pick them up. So that's honestly probably the biggest thing. The biggest help is the snake hook, because not only does it get the snake to distinguish between feeding time and handling time, but also if you have a snake for whatever reason it's just very defensive, no matter what you do, it's going to help put some distance between you and that particular snake. And as you can see, I have different sizes because some of my snakes are bigger than the other. This one's about 2 foot and this is the larger one. I actually just ordered some new ones, so I'll probably do an unboxing video and I'll actually show you guys how I properly use my snake hooks. But moving right along, another thing that I like to do personally is I like to try to get my snakes on a schedule with handling so they know when to expect it. So the anaconda, honestly, I probably only handle her about 3 times a week. I don't want to overdo it, and I probably only do it about 30 minutes each time. Reason for that is if you keep the snakes out too long and they start to get agitated, they will get defensive. And I'm only saying this because that's how she is, and that's also going to go back to, you got to know your snake. You got to be able to read their body language. Now, the tricky part with reading body language with anacondas is the simple fact that they do not really give any warning signs before they strike. Retics, typically they'll cock back or they'll open their mouth or anything like that. Burms, they'll typically hiss with their mouth open. Green tree pythons are really, really good at drawing their head back in that S shape, and that's how you know you're about to get bit. Anacondas do not do that. Another thing about anacondas can literally bite you from left or right. So not just straight on, they can bite you from the left or from the right. So you got to be careful with that. Now, I'm sorry, I got a little off topic. Now, going back to generally just trying to tame the snake, patience is going to play a huge part. A lot of people think handling is literally just picking up the snake and holding it in your hands, and that's not typically all it is, at least not to me. Handling to me is literally bonding with that particular animal, and it's not always hands-on interaction. Kato, my blood python, for instance, I've done different methods with all of my snakes. I have 20 snakes, and almost all of them have required something different one way or another. So with the blood python, I will do an update on him eventually as well, because I know everybody loves Kato and he is huge now. So with him, Kato is not the type of snake that I could just pick up and hold in my hand. Blood pythons are very steadfast and they're very reactive. They do not like to be bothered. They like to be away from everything. They are very private snakes. So with Kato, what I used to have to do is actually, I would hook him out, sit him on the floor next to me, and I would just sit there and let him get used to my presence. So depending on what type of snake you have, you kind of have to cater to their needs. That is the most important thing you can do, because again, not every snake is going to be the same. And I'm saying all of this just to say, because I know people that are going to watch this video, everybody's going to have different snakes. Somebody may have a ball python, somebody may have a boa, somebody may have a retic, somebody may have a sand boa. Whatever the case may be, you have to figure out what works for you and the snake. If you just force it upon the snake, it may work, but 9 times out of 10, that only makes the snake more agitated. So you have to be very careful in how you address the snake and how you get the snake to be comfortable with you. Because at the end of the day, the snake doesn't have to, you don't have to earn the snake's trust. The snake has to earn, no, I'm sorry. The snake has to, you have to earn the snake's trust. There we go. The snake does not have to earn your trust, because at the end of the day, your job as the keeper is to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So patience, snake hooks, getting to know your animal. And again, some of this may take some time. Like if you get a snake on Wednesday, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to handle it for at least a week. That is one thing I can't stress enough. And that's where a lot of snakes are made to be defensive. Seen it on TikTok live a lot. I'll go live and people will hop in there like, oh, I just got this snake. It won't eat. It's very defensive. I'm like, when did you get it? I just got it yesterday. You got to give the snake some time to acclimate. You got to give them a chance to gather their bearings and explore the new environment, get used to a new home, because I can stress them out. How would you like it if we're going to be honest, essentially, if you were kidnapped and then dropped somewhere and you don't know anybody, anything, and you don't know what's going to happen, you're going to be very, very defensive and you want to protect yourself. Now, obviously, we're not kidnapping these snakes, but to a degree, a lot of these snakes come out of the egg and then they get shipped across country and they don't know what's going on. So got to keep that in mind. But yeah, I think that's the gist of it. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you about it. I think that's the gist of it. Now, what I mentioned in this video may or may not work for you. I just want to throw that out there. Again, as I stated in the beginning of this video, this is what I do to help me get used to my snakes. Now, I only have one snake where it won't work with, which I'm okay with because it's a tree snake, which is my emerald tree boa. I don't handle him that often anyway. The last time I handled him, which was about a year ago, I did get bit. And if you guys don't know, emerald tree boas have the largest teeth of non-venomous snakes, and that bite did not feel good. So I'm gonna tell you that now. If you are looking to get bit by an emerald tree boa, 0 out of 10, I do not recommend. It does not feel great. So just be careful with that. And I think lastly, one point, also a very important point, know when enough is enough. If your snake is giving you attitude, and they are clearly giving you all the signs that they do not want to be bothered. Know when to leave them alone. Take heed and keep it moving. You got to know when to leave the snakes be and give them that time to adjust. Because just like people, we have days when we don't want to be bothered. You got to allow your snakes that privacy as well. Something you never know. They could be going into a shed, or they could just be, they have to poop or pee and they're uncomfortable. Whatever the case may be, if your snake is showing you signs that they don't want to be bothered, got to give them that. Now, with all of that said, again, those are things that helped me. Repetition is very important, people. So hopefully you guys can take what I said and use that as a guide to help you get your snakes to where you want to be. Because again, the anaconda, I'm cautious with her, but as you guys saw, she's very handleable. She's just busy and on the move, which I'm okay with. I'd rather that than her biting me constantly like she used to do. But yeah, first video of 2024. I wanted to get this one out here. So again, I hope it helps. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of the video, if I've missed anything, or what tactics or tips you may have for some of the other snake keepers that may watch this video. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And we're at what, 50? This is December 31st. So this video won't be out for maybe like a week or so. So by the time you guys see this video, I don't know how many subscribers you guys will be at. But I missed a few milestones. We hit 5K, and now we are almost at 55K. So I'm really wanting to get back to the YouTube video so we can really grow this channel, because I mean, I appreciate you guys sticking with me. 2023 was a rough year, so I'm back. I appreciate all of the support, all the comments, all the likes, everything. But yes, drop a comment down below. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. The name is going to be the same, The Snake God, GAWD, and hope you guys have a happy new year.